It is a typical Weeboo experience, a 2005 game with subpar graphics, awkward gameplay, awkward controls, awkward GUI, and Weeboo writing. You even have to press X to Old Yeller.
Мудрый. Крот. Мудрый. Крот. Мудрый. Крот.
Xanadu Next is one of the sequels to Xanadu, which is sold as a sequel to Dragon Slayer, despite being nothing at all like that game. Dragon Slayer is one of the first action/RPG games. Its lineage can be traced down to Diablo, if you disregard it also being a puzzle/adventure. Xanadu is a weird platformer/RPG, brutal resource management game with instanced real-time punchballs in turns combat. Xanadu Next runs in actual real-time instead of real turns without pause like the elderly games. I didn't try, or even look up every single game in this convoluted IP, but this game is as mongoloid as the first two. It uses a lot of Xanadu's weirdness, but has plain better design for most of the mechanics. You can see the influences of the HNSA-RPG genre, which was created by injecting a giant dose of Nihanese action/RPG design into Diablo to create Diablo 2. The structure similar to Igavania's, there are Metroid influences, the enemy balance from the so-called JRPGs, and a lot of action/adventure tropes. First of all, this is an action/RPG, but while there's leveling, and you can even distribute the points yourself, there's virtually no choice. You always spend the points to match the requirements of the next piece of equipment that is better than what you have. The progression is strictly linear, there's no choice and there are no alternative builds. There's also no role-playing or any dialogue choices, so you might as well treat this as an action-adventure game instead, not that different from Medieval. The devs tried to implement the mouse control scheme from HNSRPG genre, but that didn't exactly fit this gameplay. You get proper inventory management and slightly less terrible interfaces than you can expect in Weeboo games. But the combat is built around positioning and backstabs, which is hard to achieve when you are not using direct controls. And then with the console camera, the target is often outright obscured by something so you can't even click it, which is very obvious with the tree boss. If you use a gamepad for combat, then you get the worst controls for the interfaces. The right way to play this game is to use both. But then again, the gamepad controls only emulate the left click, so you can't run and rearrange spells at the same time. You have to stop during the boss fights and fiddle with the inventory without a pause feature. You can rotate the camera only in some of the rooms and it jumps between 8 directions. The level design is very reminiscent of Igavania's with its small separate rooms. But this one is top-down instead of from the side. And the enemies respawn too, but several rooms away, so there's no edge farming. Igavania's were also, it seems, influenced by Xanadu, because enemies have a chance to drop items instead of gold. But where Igavania's calculate drops per enemy, this game is very similar to Xanadu. You get one chest with possible drops per room, not per enemy. So you have to be sure to kill the farmed enemy last. Meanwhile, you open the chests with the same button that is used to cast spells. It's very easy to blow up the chest if a spell is selected. And, well, just like in Xanadu, if you kill the enemies with magic you don't get a loot box with a chance to get an item. The pointless keys mechanics with inflation are still present, even if it's not as game-breaking terrible as it was, because the keys are way cheaper, it still adds nothing. It just breaks the pacing and is very annoying in the early game. And it can be basically ignored in the late game when you have a ton of cash. Though, running out of keys in the stupid castle with its broken convoluted level design can be unpleasant. You can even combat the inflation by selling bones to the trader. And you can make your own keys if you buy an item from the minor character. And that's another annoying thing. She doesn't just stand there waiting for you. You need to clean up a room, go away, and return for her to spawn. The rooms where she can spawn are unmarked so you can find her only by accident. She sells overpriced heals and other supplies, and she has a chance to sell you an important upgrade. Or not, and offer another overpriced garbage. In one room she sells a missable superior key knife. I saw other people also thinking that it's a junk offer and declining it. But if you don't buy that junk, she will never sell you the last armor in the game. You have 4 slots for active or passive spells and 4 slots for potions or equipment. The magic spells are utilitarian. Some you can have at max LVL 3 if you buy them in a shop, find on the map, or if an enemy drops one. But a lot of the spells exist only at low levels. That's kinda unsatisfactory. Every weapon in the game has an internal passive or active spell that you can use while the weapon is equipped. If you reach the 100% proficiency with a weapon, you learn that spell and can use it with any other weapon. That is a game mechanic. The active spells have their own charge level. Instead of running out of global mana, you can swap your spells every time one runs out of charge. The charges are restored only at the save points or with a potion. But potions restore charges only to the currently equipped spell. You can accumulate a big selection of things you can use and swap at will. The equipment is not very useful. Several pieces add you a chance to stun an enemy on hit, but out of them all only one was working reliably. Poison and curse trinkets do not work. Vampirism trinket heals very little and very rarely. The mana steal one works sufficiently often. Steel magic trinket does nothing. Putting potions into those slots outside of boss fights is just wasting a slot. You can as easily drink one from the inventory, or leave the room and drink one without haste. You can choose one card with a global bonus to equip. You can swap them only in the city. The cards gain levels, increasing their efficiency. It's a pretty typical selection: HP booster, EXP booster, learning booster, etc. The final card you can get for the quest increases the number of skill points you get for leveling up. So basically now you can go and kill the boss, or reset your level and grind from the start, getting significantly more points. Since you already own all the items, you have some freedom in selecting which stats you want to focus on. Regrinding is basically necessary if you want to clear the optional roguelite dungeon. Initially I planned to, but when I started regrinding the levels after already grinding levels for hours in this otherwise short game, I decided just to end things. The game has some puzzles that are hiding optional equipment or block your progression, and about a half of them require you to read the walkthrough. Because those are P and C tier moon logic, or pettily hidden in a place you will never search, or actively assure you that they are not working. Like, who the hell would guess the bow puzzle? First of all, you can miss buying a useless bow. Then you try it and it doesn't work. Then if you even decide to remember it and bring it to the gates and use it, it doesn't work again. Using the arrow doesn't work. Instead of a simple script checking if you understood the meaning of this puzzle, it is a GUI puzzle. Who the hell needs puzzles built around subpar GUI? About the same I can say about the Phoenix Remedy. You have to haul it around at all times, cluttering your tiny inventory. The story opens with a long VN, then it goes into a stupid weeboo-style pre-rendered cutscene that fell into the blender. And that's the worst of all worlds. As a fragmented mess, it's unsatisfactory and meaningless until the very end. But if you ever consumed a story in your life, you can combine that cutscene and the very first piece of lore that you get to instantly guess the entirety of the story after just starting the game. And well, the plot is not very good. Also, don't the characters think they are doing something bad by breaking the evil seal? The villagers look fine and happy as is, but to save your own petty arse you are opening the gates of hell? And the teen boomers are keeping you in the dark, which only leads to breaking the seal. Like, yeah, it all miraculously worked out. But what if it didn't? The last level is a navigational nightmare. The map doesn't work in the castle, and the design is very tedious. And the last checkpoint is placed before a giant stupid stairway. So every time you die on the last boss you have to just hold right for a whole minute before watching the stupid cut scene again.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill, I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my love I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Someday you go through the rain, and someday you'll feed on a tree frog. It's ordeal, the trial to survive. For the day we see new light, I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
The game is filled with many minor bugs no one plans to fix. Using lung stone in the village turns half the effects into red cage spheres. Same with the crying queen of flies. One of the dramatic cutscenes has you spin
me right round, baby, right round.
The Steam achievements are utterly broken. Also, one of them asks of you to speedrun the game with no saves, with no heals, while also grinding everything to the max level. If bugs were fixed, if controls, and this backstab combat were tighter, it would have been a very good game, even as is, with all the Xanadu's bad mechanics. If all the grind was toned down, the fat trimmed, the working mechanics were tightened up, the keys mechanic was removed, and the intro cutscene was recut to be not garbage, I could call it a great game. The bad singing in the end credits is great.